Okay, everybody, I'm going to be showing you some new things today. We're going to start by using the slow motion clip. So if you've turned this in, you can use that for this assignment. If you haven't yet done that, you can also just use the clip that I've provided. You'll lose 20 points and you'll still have that 0 for the slow motion clip assignment. But if you just can't find the time to do that or don't want to do that or whatever, you can still do this assignment with the footage I'm providing, but again, you will lose some points. So I've gone ahead and turned this in as a student. So this is what, once you turn it in, if you go to the slow motion clip assignment, this should be what you see. And what I'm going to need to do first is download that clip so it's on my computer and I can edit it in Premiere. So I'm going to click that. And it's going to ask me where do I want to save that, and I want you guys to save it in your After Effects tutorials, and I'm going to rename it. Instead of a random string of letters, I'm going to say slow motion footage and save that. Okay, and then I'm going to go ahead and launch Premiere. So this time we're going to start in Premiere. We will be using After Effects as well, but I'm going to show you how we're going to start off in Premiere, and we're actually going to be combining the two things right here. So what I want to do is go ahead and make a new project, and we'll say slow motion plus AE. AE stands for After Effects, and for my location, I'm going to put it in, again, that desktop and After Effects tutorials, and select that folder, and we'll go ahead and hit create. Okay, so starting off, I'm in editing. If you don't see what I'm seeing, click editing up here. You can click this little tab. You should see the workspace tabs. And if it's real compact like this, you can spread it out. And if it needs to be reset, you can always reset to saved layout. So that'll get it back to the original look. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and make a new sequence. So I'm going to go, you can either do just hold Control and hit N, or you can go here to File, make a new sequence. And I'm going to go under HD 1080p, and I want it to be 23.976. I know we usually say 24, but this is as close as we're going to get. So we're just going to hit OK, and now we have a blank timeline. So we're going to make sure it's 24 frames per second, but again, your footage should be at much more than 24 frames per second. So I'm going to go find that footage I downloaded in the After Effects tutorial folder, and I want to check and see that I got the right frame rate. So what I'm going to do to check that is right click. I'm going to select this footage, right click the file, and I'm going to go to Properties, and under Details, it'll show me that I have a 13-second clip. It's 1080p, and the frame rate on this one is actually almost 180. So as long as it's above 60, you're okay. That was the requirements. I wanted you to be at or above 60. So I'm going to go ahead and drag that in. And when I do that, it may give me this warning. Okay, it didn't give me the warning. It may give you a warning about this is not matching the frame rate of the sequence or something like that, but that's okay. But again, you want to make sure your frame rate is above 60. If that's not working, if it's coming in at a different frame rate, it's still showing it at like 24, then come see me and we'll figure that out. But hopefully you guys won't have that much trouble with it. We don't need to worry about sound here, so I'm going to go ahead and unlink and delete that sound. We don't need to worry about that. My clip here is 13 seconds. It doesn't need to be that long, but you can see it's Roshan and his cousins playing in the backyard, and my wife is throwing some bubbles out there. So I'm going to start the clip. Let's see. You can kind of mess around with this, but I want to start off in regular speed, and then I want to slow motion. When you watch it, it should be like normal speed. So this is pretty much normal speed right now. If you're watching it and it's already in slow-mo, then that's not right. So make sure that, again, you got the right frame rate, and if you do, you should be good. So I'm going to start this right before she starts blowing the bubbles, or throwing the bubbles. So I'm going to trim off the beginning of this, bring it back to the beginning so I start off, and then I'll have the stuff that I want to slow down here in a second. Okay, so to start with, we're going to go right click on this button, this little FX button right here. So that button is going to change what this line represents. Right now it changes the opacity. So opacity is how transparent our image is, and we want to leave that alone for the moment, but I want to right click and go to time remapping. So I'm right clicking on the FX button, I'm going to time remapping, and I'm going to select speed. So now this line represents speed, and if I hover over it, it shows me that it's at 100%. So I can speed it up if I want to speed it up, and it'll get shorter and everything will go faster. Or I can slow it down. If I want to slow it down, way down, it'll start getting real slow. You can see it's kind of choppy like that. I slowed it down too much. On the assignment that you're doing today, it has a chart that shows you how much you can slow this down. I'm going to slow it down to about 40%. So what I want to do is I want to get to the point where I want it to actually stop and start the slow motion part. And I'm going to start when these bubbles start creeping into the screen on mine. So on your footage, it'll depend on how you want to do it. There's not one way to do this, but I'm going to go ahead and see when I hover over this line. This is kind of like when we adjust the audio level with keyframes. We're going to go ahead and hover over this line, and you see if I just don't press anything, it's going to move the entire line. But I want to change just part of it. This is called speed ramping because we're literally ramping up and down the speed. So I'm going to hold the control button, and you can see when I do that, it's making this, it's giving me a little plus sign. So I'm going to hit plus. That's the place I want to start the slow motion. And this is the place I'm going to end the slow motion. Okay, so hasn't changed speeds yet, but I'm going to go ahead now, releasing control. I've got my two spots, and when I release control, I'm going to slow it down to about 40%. Again, you can slow it down depending on how many frames you shot. You can slow it down more or less than this, but I want to go ahead and slow it down a little bit. And you can see now it's going to suddenly switch speeds, and it's going to look pretty smooth, hopefully. Okay, so the other thing I'm going to do to really get the ramp looking good, let me make this a little bit bigger so you guys can see easier. I can actually drag these, and you see that's going to actually make it look like a ramp. You can play around more with this to see how you want it to make it look, but basically this is, instead of just suddenly jerkily going from one speed to another, it's going to slow down gradually. So you can use this for a lot of sports videos, also a very common thing in music videos. So that is my slow motion part, okay? So that's just one part of what we're doing here. I've got my slow motion video edited. I'm gonna go ahead and do some other tricks that I want you to learn how to do. This next part is inspired by the Outkast Bombs Over Baghdad video, and I believe the Travis Scott video, Sicko Mode, also use this stuff. We're gonna change colors of our scene here. So once it's gone back to normal speed, I'm going to go ahead and make a freeze frame. So to make a freeze frame, you can right click, well, put your playhead where you want the freeze frame to start, I should say. Now that I've got that freeze frame in place, I'm going to right click and I'm going to go to add frame hold. And so what that does is that makes this clip just stationary. You can make that as long or as short as you want to now. It's a stationary clip. It's not video anymore. And then I'm going to go, again up here, if you haven't already, make sure your workspace tabs are showing. And we're going to go to color. You can also just click color right there. We're going to go to color. And we're going to try out something called HSL secondary, and that's down here. So what HSL secondary will basically do is you'll pick a color, and then you can change that color to whatever you want. So in mine, because most of what we're seeing is the driveway right here, I'm going to just use that driveway. So to start with, you're going to set your color. And if you want to see what you've selected, you can click this box right here. And that's showing me, okay, I haven't selected a lot. This is the plus, and I don't know what happened. There used to be a little plus and a little minus, a little eyedropper here, but whatever. The first one selects, the second one adds to, and the third one subtracts. So I'm going to add to it. And you can see as I add to it, it's going to show me, okay, we're picking more now. Oh, I picked too much. Control Z. I can always go to my, okay. So however you look this, maybe this is going to be too hard. Let's try it. Let's see what happens. I'm going to reset. Let me see if I can choose the grass, how that looks. Maybe that'll be better. Because it's just not looking that good. I don't know. You can be picky as you want with this. I'm not loving the result. The footage that you use will definitely change. But anyway, I've got some stuff selected. I'm going to unclick this. Now down here, I can decide how I want the color to change. So I'm going to make it real green, or maybe make it real, I like that. Let's do that. And you can ramp it up or ramp it down. You can also go here and go to shadows and highlights and midtones if you want to get real fancy. There's lots of ways you can actually make this even more colorful. But yeah, this reminds me of the Bombs Over Baghdad video, so I'm gonna go ahead and leave it like that. Okay, so I'm gonna switch back to editing. We're done for the moment. Right now we've got our slow motion done, we got a freeze frame, and then it's gonna make the colors change. So what we're gonna do now is we're gonna bring in something from After Effects. So I'm gonna go ahead and save my project. Make sure that you're saving your work, folks. That's gonna be a big part of this. And then we're gonna go to After Effects. So I'm using After Effects and I'm using Premiere for this assignment. So let me show you how this works. We're gonna bring in something that you already made in After Effects, and we're gonna go ahead and put it into Premiere. Okay, so I need to open up the assignment I did where I made my name in 3D. That was the last, let's see, that was the last After Effects assignment that you should have done. Okay. So this is what I'm talking about. Now this is actually transparent. This little thing will show you, toggle transparency grid. This will show you that it's actually transparent. There's nothing in the background. So if I put this over some video footage, then it's just going to show up on top of that footage. I want to make sure that I only have a little bit of it selected. Like this is about 4 seconds, a little over 4 seconds. If you have your top gray bar here, if you have it all the way down here, that's going to be making your life way more complicated. So just do it wherever you had the keyframe set up. A little over 4 seconds on my end is fine. And we're gonna add one thing to this. We're gonna add one thing, and that's gonna be some animation. So I'm gonna select my text layer, the words, the actual words. It should be a red text, red layer on your end. I'm gonna go to Animation Presets. I'm gonna go to Text, and then Animate In. There's a whole bunch of options here, and I really don't care which one you use, but you do wanna make sure that your playhead is positioned at the very beginning, otherwise it'll come in later. So let's say pop buzzwords. I have no idea what that's gonna look like, but I can hit play and kind of get an idea. Okay, I don't know what that did, but I don't like it. I'm undoing that because I still want it to say my name. Let's see. Let's see, drop in by character. How does that look? Okay, I don't like that either because I can see the characters too early. Okay, that's what I wanted. So now I'm starting off with nothing, and then my characters slowly pop in. I like that. And if you don't want it to start right at the beginning, you could start it a little bit later, but I think that's good right there. Okay, so I gotta save this. And I need to know where this file is. This is really important. I'm not going to be able to do this if I don't know where this file is. So my file in this case is in Tutorial Videos 3D Text Tutorial. Yours should be in the After Effects tutorial folder. If you didn't save it or you didn't put it in your tutorial folder, then you're going to be really stuck. But I'm going to be in that tutorial folder. It said it was in 3D Text, and this is the file I'm looking for. It's called the AEP file. You should be able to see the extensions after the file name, and if you don't, just hit View and File Name Extensions, and then you can see that it's an AEP file. And what I'm gonna wanna do is I'm gonna just drag it in like it's a piece of footage. I'm gonna drag that in to Premiere. It's gonna say, what comp do you want? And looking at this, I'll tell you, my composition is gonna be named probably Comp 1. Yeah, that's where it says it right here. Comp 1 is the name of the composition. You may have titled it something else, but whatever the name of your composition is, there's probably only one. You hit OK, and now I can bring this footage in. So when I pop this in, this is what it should look like. I'm gonna actually have it start a little bit after this. So I'm starting off in regular speed, slow motion, and then I'm gonna pop color, and then, oh, that's taking too long. I need to make that happen way sooner. And the reason I'm doing this is I want you to know how to make the footage, how to be able to combine After Effects and Premiere things in this. Okay, and that's gonna take a second to render. Let me bust it down to a quarter. Okay, and that's really it. Once your animation is stopped, you can cut this off. My part doesn't need to be this long. I'm not sure why it made it this long, but I'm gonna go ahead and shorten this because I don't really need it to be that long. But I want it to be over your footage. And if you want, you can make it like a little animated icon. A lot of YouTubers will have those in their corner of their YouTube videos. I'm gonna make mine a little smaller and just have it in the corner so it's not taking up the whole screen. That's up to you if you want to do that part or not. And all I did to do that was just go select this and go to FX control, and then I changed the scale and position. So there we go. But that's what I'm wanting you to do for this assignment. So I know that's a lot of steps, but I think that's going to really set you up to do well for your music video project.